Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to look at my first team for the Spring Cup in Go Battle League. Shadow Powersmos, Tentacruel and Lantern. Shadow Powersmos picks up so many good leads. It's only really weak to Mawile, Tentacruel and Galarian Weezing, which is the only Pokemon I see that beat it. Then even if you face one of those, you can still play your way out of it with Tentacruel and Lantern in the back. Tentacruel on the safe swap. Very good at luring out Ferrothon as well. But other than that, you face so many grass types, so many lanterns because of the big YouTubers making videos about those in the lead. So this has worked very well, and I gained over 100 elo with it, going all the way up to almost legend elo once again. Going right into the first game, we lead into the mirror match against another Shadow Powersmos. But the good thing about seeing a grass type in the lead is it's very difficult to run ABA grass because you do see some poison types and some more wild, so there shouldn't be another grass type in the back, and I have double water in the back, so that's a very good thing. We both end up shielding. I go one over to try and not let them catch, then they throw immediately on the second one, and then I think they try to catch here, but I always wait a turn to see if the powder snow goes through, and it didn't, so I decided to overfarm instead, and they bring in a lantern to try and catch a weather ball, which is a very risky play because, well, a Powersmos can also hit the lantern. I try to catch their move on my lantern, like their surf, and then I realize I forgot to TM my lantern for the first game. It still has water gun. It should definitely have spark. Very big mistake by me. Now they can just spark me down after this move, which is very unfortunate. Spark Lantern has such a good matchup against Water Gun Lantern, so this is pretty bad. I bring in my Powersmos immediately because they have a lot of energy, so, and I know I have a Weather Ball, so I want to snipe them with it, so we can take away all that energy. They bring back in the Powersmos, and they take out our Powersmos. What is in the back? It's a Jump Pluff. I know the Abomasnow was dry. It only did one Powder Snow before swapping, so I don't think it's going to be able to get to an Energy Ball. So I just want to get rid of the Jump Bluff immediately. And I'm running Sludge Wave on Tentacruel because it's on the safe swap. I think it's better if you're using it as a safe swap. If you're using it as a closer, you could consider running Acid Spray. I like Sludge Wave more, but Acid Spray is definitely viable. They only get to a Weather Ball, and we win the first game. Very nice. Second game, we lead into another mirror match. I'm not the only one who thinks that Powersmos is good in the lead, apparently. And it is. Go one over once again. They do the same thing. We lose CMP. I just made a new Abomasnow with better IVs, and now I lose all the CMPs in the mirror. Yikes. Well, go for a Weather Ball after shielding theirs. And then I go for the catch. This is a very important detail. I'm just going to pause real quick. You see the health bar on the Abomasnow? Do not try to catch if the Abomasnow is at a health range where your Lantern cannot deal with it in the back. You can try to catch if it's at a health range, which it is right now, that your Lantern can handle with only one charge move. Otherwise, because your Lantern is probably gonna see it in the back at some point, so you need to be able to take it out with your Lantern, which is why that catch was possible for me. They bring in a Jellicent, which is just the worst thing a Tentacruel can see. Go for the Sludge Wave. It does a little bit more damage. It's like slightly more DPE than Brian. And get to another Brian, and they're just gonna farm us down. I still have that Weather Ball on my Abomasnow, and I think it's enough to take out the Jellicent at this point. So I really want to force at least a shield, or I want to force them to think about what they want to do here. I forced the shield, and here I'm thinking, because once again, Abomasnow lead, it's probably not going to be another grass in the back. My Lantern is going to be able to sweep this, I think. They bring in the Abomasnow, it is dry, so go up to right before they get to the Energy Ball, which is on 7 Powder Snows. And then I go for the Surf, and it just about KOs. That was a pretty risky Surf. Maybe I should have gone for the Thunderbolt. They bring in a Tentacruel. Again, I was assuming that my Abomasnow wasn't going to have a good matchup in the back. It could have been their Lantern in the back, I guess, but if you see something which is very good against, say, Lantern in the lead, there's a very big chance they have something weak to Lantern in the back. I thought a Shadow Ball from Jellicent would do more than a Sludge Wave from Tentacruel, which is why I no-shielded the Sludge Wave, because I thought the Jellicent would get to a move. It actually is the Sludge Wave that does more damage, so if you want to shield one move, you want to shield the Sludge Wave from Tentacruel in that specific situation. Next lead is against a Ferrothon. This is a very important detail as well. They usually bait here, but you can shield twice and win this no problem. So it's just safe to shield everything just in case they go for the flash cannon, because most Ferrothons do run flash cannon. I think that is the correct move to have on their Ferrothon in this meta. Get to another weather ball. It's always 6 bullet seeds for the flash cannon, and they only did 5, so they don't have it now. So it is no shield. Then they bring in a Mantine, and another good detail you see, I do a few more Powersmos before. I'm just gonna pause here as well. I did a few more Powersmos before swapping out. The energy on a Powersmo is incredibly valuable in this meta because it can hit pretty much everything. And because I have such a good matchup with Lantern in the back against Mantine, you can just stay in for a bit to load up an energy because you don't need to bring in the Lantern immediately. Also, don't save swap Mantine and Pelipper in this meta, because Lantern is a thing. Next game I lead into HomeSlice Henry, and a very funny detail, I actually made this team based on HomeSlice Henry's video. I would definitely recommend checking out HomeSlice Henry if you don't know who he is. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. I always check out which teams he is running before I make my teams, because he's one of the biggest YouTubers. I check out the biggest YouTubers to see what they run, and then I counter what they are using, because I know a lot of people get inspiration from them, and I would recommend you do the same. Not with me, because I'm not big enough. Not enough people use my teams yet. But you can definitely check out the biggest YouTubers, see what are they running, what are a lot of my opponents gonna run, because they get inspiration from that, and how can I counter it. I thought it was going to be a Tentacruel in the back, which is why I swapped my Tentacruel in on their Galarian Weezing, because that's what he's been running, but my Lantern was also pretty good against the Mawile. Next game, we lead into another mirror, and I go one over, and they catch it. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. I bring in my Tentacruel onto the Seaking. You might think Lantern has a better matchup here. It's actually a very awkward matchup for Lantern against the Seaking, because it has Drill Run. I think Tentacruel is the right thing. Also because most people who save swap Seaking have a Tentacruel in the back, in my experience in this meta. So I like to save my Lantern. Just make sure you win switch with Tentacruel, and then you can get the Lantern onto their Tentacruel in the back. Go for the Sludge Wave. Again, it does a little bit more damage. And then I wait out my switch timer because they caught my moves, so our switch timers are misaligned. So I want my switch timer to come up, so they don't get to swap out and get some energy. And I'm assuming they're gonna swap out immediately here, so I just hard call it to not give them any more energy advantage. Swap out immediately as well, which was a bit risky. They still have a lot more energy than I do because they caught that move in the beginning. So they still have all the energy from the initial matchup. So I end up letting this go, because I know I'm not going to be able to win this, and I just about get to another Weather Ball. And you might think a Powersmos walls Lantern, and it does, but a Thunderbolt still does a bit of damage here. I thought they were going to bait. It was pretty obvious, but I also think they're not going to get to 2 baits plus an energy ball before I get to a Thunderbolt, and I think a Thunderbolt is enough to take them out. They swap back into their Tentacruel. They spend all of their energy before swapping, so I know it doesn't have a lot of energy. I know the Abomasnow is 2 away from the energy ball, so I need one more spark, and I get it. That was pretty lucky. And we get to the Thunderbolt 1 before they get to the energy ball. Is this enough to take out the Abomasnow? It's not. Yikes, I really thought I had it. But no, they get to the energy ball, and we actually end up losing this one. Very yikes. Next game, we lead into a Trevenant. Very good lead. They swap into a Seaking. Again, I swap into Tentacruel. I'm just assuming this is going to be another one of those double Poison Jabber backlines. I let the first one go, and this is where we learned that Yeah, this is actually not all that comfortable of a matchup to go for the sludge wave, hoping they don't shield it, but they do shield it. Maybe I should have gone for the brine. They get to another move. I know this is just an icy win, but I still think I need to shield it. Can we win switch still? I get to a brine. If they shield this, I think they're gonna farm me down, but they no shield it. Bring in the Trevenant, get 3 Shadow Claws. I bring back in my Abomasnow. They bring in their Tentacruel. And this looks pretty good. But having Lantern switch locked in this meta can be very awkward, I find. I should stop tapping here. Because if I just farm them down, my Lantern has so much health still. Look, now the Trevenant is just going to be able to get a huge farm down. I would definitely recommend trying not to leave your Lantern hanging in this meta, like just like this, where you just allow something that walls Lantern to farm it all the way down. Because now they're gonna get so much energy on the Trevenant. They throw a move, they have a Seed Bomb and a Shadow Ball. I have to make a call. And it's the Shadow Ball. And we lose. Very well played by my opponent. Bit of a misplay by me, but we learn into another Trevenant. I did face some bad leads after I stopped recording, obviously. Well, they swap into their Tentacruel, swap in Lantern. Let the first one go. And we'll go for the Thunderbolt. And we take it out. I maybe should have undercharged that a little bit. Now they bring in their Tentacruel. Again, I should have stopped tapping to let them do some more poison jab damage, so I would have left less health. Get to 2 serfs. And it actually does a bit of damage. I do decide to shield this. I think I might be expecting a Lantern in the back. Yeah, it is the Lantern in the back, and I go for an incredibly risky bait here. I don't know, I just had a feeling they would shield, and they do. My Tentacruel can handle the Trevenant in the back, so I think I'm just gonna stay in, use the Abomasnow to take out Lantern. I shield the first move. They do have a Surf and a Thunderbolt, and they served me. Is a Thunderbolt enough to take me out at this point? It's not. Not at all. Good thing I made a new Abomasnow with better IVs. Go for the Energy Ball. And I stay in to see if I can maybe take out their Trevenant. Because I faced a lot of the same people all the time. You do that when you're at a high elo. So I would like to not show them my Tentacruel. But they do get to see that I have Tentacruel in the back. Next game we lead into Pelipper. Pelipper is very weak to Lantern, so there's most likely a grass type in the back, which is why I like to swap out immediately to lure it out. Of course, you're not going to lure out an Abomasnow if that's what's in the back, but if it's a Ferrothon, you can do it. Now Lantern doesn't have to see it. This is obviously a bad matchup, but Sludge Wave still does quite a lot. See, is this the guy who mirror shot baits me? It is. Yes. And I'm thinking maybe they're gonna mirror shot bait me once again. But no, they go for the power whip this time. Bring back in the Abomasnow. And I actually end up shielding this because I think I can farm down, come out with a lot of energy. But they swap out. An important detail, once again, you saw I stayed in for a bit, just did a few more Powersmos. This is such a good matchup for Lantern. I don't need to swap out immediately. I can get a bit more energy on a Abomasnow. If you can do that safely, a Abomasnow with energy is just so good in this meta. And here I just don't need to throw anything. This is such a good matchup for Lantern. I think it was probably a bit of a misplay. Don't switch lock your Pelipper or Mantine in this meta. I think that's probably not the right way to play it. And they bring back in the Ferrothon. Go for the Surf. Maybe should have undercharged this because the Ferrothon is dry and switch locked. And they're actually ABA weak to Lantern, they have Galarian Weezing in the back. Go for one surf, go for the second one. I think they have to shield this, otherwise I'm just gonna farm them down with fast moves. So they go for the shield. I still have a lot of energy in my Powersmos. I'm thinking Powersmos does more than Spark, and Powersmos plus one Weather Ball, if you just add up the Powersmos enough, it's gonna be enough to take out the Weezing eventually. So go for one Weather Ball, and then I throw in CMP just to see who wins CMP, and it's actually Weezing. It is IV dependent. They go for the Overheat. That was their only win con that I've for some reason let that go. If you have a bad Abomasnow, you can win CMP here, but most of the time Weezing wins it, and we take out the Weezing, we win the game. That was the last battle for today, and overall this team is just very strong. Abomasnow Lantern is pretty much an unbreakable core in this meta, and Tentacruel is one of the best and most underrated Pokemon in this meta. It's only gonna rise in popularity, so if you don't want to use it, find out how to counter it, because you're gonna see it more and more, I believe. That's my prediction. You can flip the team around if you're seeing a lot of things that beat Abomasnow in the lead. So you use Lantern in the lead, and then maybe with a Galarian Weezing on the safe swap, Abomasnow in the back. That I did try that. It works pretty well too. Fun fact of the day: Galarian Weezing does not get to 3 overheats against Shadow Mawile. You have to bait if you want to win the 2 shields. And you know Shadow Mawile users, they like to 2 shield through things if they can. So you might want to consider that, or at least be aware of the fact that that's the case. Other than that, thank you for watching. If you like what you see, you feel like you learned something, like the video, subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more coming, and hope to see you next time.